Are you sure this way of getting on the subway won't get us caught by the guards? On the other side, all the members of the Youth Academy tennis department gathered to participate in the U-17 selection training camp. Sadaharu informed everyone that this was the first year junior high students were allowed to participate in the selection. Suddenly, 2 high school students blocked everyone's way as the classic plot unfolded. The hit the can test started, an old gag overplayed by the Youth Academy tennis department. Everyone brought out their signature tennis moves and easily passed the test. Tezuka even defied the laws of physics, knocking down 3 cans with 1 ball, making the seniors hesitate to block these exceptional junior high students any longer and hurriedly let them pass. Upon arriving at the camp, the training was extremely tough. It was said that more than half of the people couldn't last a week, and some even quit tennis altogether due to a mental breakdown. This time, the Youth Academy tennis department aimed to have everyone stay. Suddenly, an announcement came from the temporary coach, Kurobe, declaring that the 300 participants needed to pass a test to stay. A plane flew over and began airdropping tennis balls. Everyone had to catch a tennis ball to remain. Those who failed to catch one had to leave immediately. Dropping a tennis ball from such a height could seriously injure someone remarked as the competition began. Upon closer inspection, it turned out that all the familiar faces were there. These were players from schools known nationally who had been recruited into the U-17 camp. Just as there was only 1 ball left, a pebble flew in, knocking the ball away, which was then caught effortlessly, a flashy entrance typical of Ryoma. Some seniors who didn't get a ball became anxious and challenged the junior high students to one-on-one duels, mockingly calling Sadaharu a four-eyed frog. This provoked all the glasses-wearing players, with Ryoma stepping forward to accept the challenge, also wearing glasses. Suddenly, a guy in a purple hat stepped forward, wanting to replace a blonde and play against Ryoma, seemingly the strongest among these extras. Purple Hat started with a powerful serve, knocking Ryoma's hat off, but those who knew Ryoma weren't worried. True to form, Ryoma easily handled him by starting with his honed to perfection mode, followed by a curveball that hit Purple Hat right in the head, quickly settling the match. To silence these high school extras, each team member took turns displaying their unique skills, leaving the seniors doubting their life choices, unaccustomed to such fantastical tennis. Suddenly, 3 highly skilled players appeared and stopped the match, telling those who hadn't caught a ball to quickly leave and not waste everyone's time. They warned the overconfident junior high students that they had only been playing against the lesser-ranked players from outside the top 10 courts. Akutsu couldn't stand the boasting, asking, "So what courts do you guys represent?" One was from Court 3, Inui, another from Court 5, Akutsu, and a silent, seemingly skilled player from Court 1, Tezuka. It was clear this place was full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers, filling everyone with fighting spirit. After training, it was time to eat. The lavish buffet excited everyone from the Youth Academy tennis department, but Atobe was displeased, feeling they were just freeloading and enjoying themselves, which is not the attitude of those chosen. Next came the ranking battles. Momoshiro drew Akutsu as his opponent. Everyone hoped Momoshiro could temper the senior's arrogance, especially since Akutsu had researched his opponent and knew he often defeated players who moved up from the lower ranks. Known as the Hell's Gatekeeper, Akutsu is also rumored to be able to lift a ton-weight boulder. It's a wonder why he didn't pursue Olympic weightlifting instead of playing tennis. Momoshiro served first, but Akutsu easily returned the ball. Surprisingly, Akutsu's racket had a cross shape with only 2 strings. Momoshiro, realizing he couldn't underestimate Akutsu, immediately executed a gravity drop shot, but this signature move had no effect on Akutsu. The impact numbed Momoshiro's hands, making it hard to even hold his racket. Akutsu thought the match was decided and turned to leave, but Momoshiro, using his mouth to hold the racket, stood up again. Despite his commendable spirit, he was no match for Akutsu and was relentlessly defeated. His teammates didn't want Momoshiro to continue, but he preferred to collapse on the court rather than give up. Sanada felt sympathy for Momoshiro, who had the misfortune of facing Akutsu, also skilled in gravity drop shots. However, Atobe suspected that the organizers might have deliberately set up this match to intimidate the junior high students. Momoshiro knew he represented all junior high students and, despite likely losing, wanted to score at least a point. He gripped his racket with both hands and gave his all in one final shot, but Akutsu mercilessly returned it. The protagonist's halo failed, and the match ended 6-0 with Momoshiro having his head shaved. However, Akutsu noticed his racket strings were broken, which earned Momoshiro some respect. After the training match, a giant over 3 meters tall appeared, announcing that the next phase would be mental training, with participants pairing up freely. Everyone chose their closest peers, while Ryoma solely focused on challenging Tokugawa and was searching for court number 1. 2 seniors, seeing his determination, told him they'd show him the way if he could beat them, presenting another challenging experience. As Kogane passed by, it seemed perfect for a doubles match. However, the coach announced that this wasn't a doubles team-up but a one-on-one match against their own partners, with the loser being eliminated. This meant potentially sending their own friend home, and anyone refusing to compete would be eliminated together. All reluctantly prepared to compete. Oishi and Kikumaru appeared surprisingly harmonious, but everyone knew it was an act. Neither could bring themselves to eliminate the other, and both were holding back. This was possibly the worst display of synchronized resonance yet, as Oishi tried to inspire Kikumaru's fighting spirit. Continuously scoring, they quickly reached match point. Meanwhile, Kogane and Ryoma were playing doubles against 2 extras. Kogane was thrilled to be playing doubles with Ryoma, something he had always dreamed of. Ryoma served first, instantly scoring, stunning the high school seniors. He continued to dominate, knocking down one opponent after another. They were supposed to be shown the way, but instead, this incited discontent among the spectating seniors who also wanted to play. Back to the main event, the Golden Pair's duel continued. In the final moments, AG had an epiphany. He realized that using his full strength was the greatest respect he could show Shuichiru. Both found their best form. Elsewhere, Shinji easily defeated Hiyoshi. Despite both being doubles teams, the disparity was large. The Rikaidai pair had their own schemes. Masaharu feigned an injury, luring Yagyu to finish the match with a laser beam. However, Yagyu anticipated Masaharu's tactic and returned a curving ball to win. They had partnered for so long, Yagyu knew exactly when Masaharu was acting. The match between Aoi and Kabaji ended with Aoi's victory, though he wasn't pleased. To console him, Kabaji gave him a roll of tape as a token of their match, leading to a somewhat awkward moment. The Golden Pair's match ended with AG's dramatic comeback, and Shuichiru gifted his racket as a token of their match. The first round concluded with spectacular matches. Atobe faced Kamio, and Tezuka faced Kaido, who had bad luck. Initially hoping to team up with Tezuka, Kaido ended up as his opponent. The focus then shifted to Ryoma, who had finished demolishing all the seniors with Kogane and continued to advance. They encountered Akutsu and Tezuka in the midst of a match. Akutsu tossed up 5 balls and unleashed a phantom fist technique to strike all 5 simultaneously. Tezuka matched the feat, impressing even Nadal. Ryoma rudely interrupted their duel, eager to challenge them with Kogane. Bored, Akutsu was willing to entertain Ryoma's confidence. The match between Kaido and Tezuka began. Tezuka used his hone to perfection from the start, causing Kaido to question his life choices. Meanwhile, the match between Kamio and Atobe took a different turn. Kamio had thoroughly researched Atobe and successfully returned his signature serve to score. Both matches ended differently. Tezuka won 6-1, while Atobe drew 6-6, reflecting their different coaching approaches. Tezuka pushed Kaido hard, while Atobe was more lenient. Both captains then played mind games. Kamio would take a lead, only for Atobe to catch up immediately. Kaido, wanting to quit, found Tezuka relentlessly targeting his racket, making him feel like he was playing against a machine. Frustrated, Kaido regained his will to fight back. On the side, Kamio understood Atobe's intention to train his stamina, recognizing it as his weakness. Atobe, seeing his junior grasp the lesson, could finally clock out, ending the match with a rondo. Despite Kaido's fierce comeback, Tezuka easily won with a zero-shiki drop shot, leaving Kaido smiling, realizing Tezuka had always meant well, but was poor at expressing it. Tezuka acknowledged it as their best match yet. Ryoma and Kogane's challenge began. Kogane launched with his lengthy special move, Invincible, absolute, tasty, great cartwheel mountain storm, blasting Akutsu's cross-shaped racket away. Interested, Akutsu switched to a normal racket, stronger than before. But Kogane still returned the shots. Kogane's persistence and Ryoma's variety of special moves ultimately scored them points, leaving them exhausted. However, the seniors seemed unfazed. Back to the main matches, Oishi defeated Kenya, Yukimura defeated Sanada, and Fuji unsurprisingly beat his younger brother. Everyone began searching for Ryoma, who would forfeit if he didn't show up soon. Speaking of forfeits, Sadaharu had succumbed to his own experimental poison and had to withdraw. After scoring, Ryoma taunted, claiming even Court 1 players were not that impressive, which infuriated the seniors. Tezuka quickly returned a shot Ryoma couldn't see, and Akutsu used a tomahawk smash to send Kogane flying. Ryoma's taunting backfired. When Ryoma didn't return, everyone decided to split up and look for him. Renji was dominating Kite even when Kite turned into his demon form and used his fingertip serve. However, after Renji won the match point, he surprisingly forfeited, giving his spot to Kite with the words, "You stay at the camp." Momoshiro had to forfeit due to a previous injury from his match with Akutsu. Akuji easily defeated Kawamura to secure his spot. The coach told those who lost to pack up and leave, including Ryoma and Oishi, who hadn't played. At that moment, Saiki found Ryoma and Oishi, who were doubting their life choices on the tennis court, and told them to follow him if they wanted to become stronger. It seems they won't be eliminated. Meanwhile, the eliminated players were preparing to leave by bus. However, they were not happy and wanted to rebel. But Sanada, always strict with rules, stopped them, accepting the loss despite his frustration. Suddenly, the bus swerved sharply and drove into a forest where Coach Siki was waiting with Ryoma and Oishi, revealing that the losers were not being eliminated, but were about to undergo special training, starting with climbing the mountain in front of them. Ryoma and Oishi led the way, and everyone else followed without hesitation, engaging in literal mountain climbing without any safety measures. This was risky, as anyone could potentially fall. Momoshiro was particularly distressed since he was already injured, and Sanada advised him not to climb any further, as it would only worsen his injury. As Momoshiro hesitated to give up, Kaido stepped forward, offering to carry him up the mountain. Although Momoshiro was reluctant, remembering his devastating loss to Akutsu, he vowed to become stronger, and could only lean on Kaido's shoulder. By nightfall, they discovered a suspension bridge that looked very unsafe. They asked Kabaji to wait behind until everyone had crossed, but Kabaji, feeling discriminated against, charged onto the bridge, causing it to shake violently. Everyone froze, fearing further movement would collapse the bridge. Then, a bird landed on Kabaji, breaking the bridge completely, and everyone fell. Luckily, due to the protagonist's aura, no one was injured, but they were back to where they started and had to climb again. While they were disheartened, a sudden wolf howl broke the silence. Suddenly, Ibu ran out, inexplicably transformed into a werewolf, biting Kamio on the head. Mizuki also emerged, explaining that he and Ibu had planned to come to the training camp together, but got lost on the way. Ibu, trying to find their way, started imitating a wolf and got too carried away to change back. Fortunately, Kamio's kindness helped Ibu regain his true nature. Now they realized the only way to reach the mountaintop was to climb the steep cliff, a feat seemingly impossible for most. Meino almost slipped, but Ryoma continued to climb recklessly. Sanada couldn't understand why Ryoma was so eager, wondering if he knew something about the mountaintop. However, Ryoma admitted he was just like them, knowing nothing but believing that reaching the top would definitely make him stronger. Climbing the mountain was already exhausting enough, but suddenly, tennis balls started falling from the summit. This was no longer just training. It felt like a mass execution. Kaido nearly fell when he couldn't hold on, and Momoshiro, whom he was carrying, also started to slip but was caught in time by Sanada. Then, Sanada began to motivate everyone, saying those who mocked us losers must be waiting at the top. With Sanada's encouragement, everyone's Chunobu spirits were ignited, and they finally overcame the obstacles to reach the summit. To their surprise, the scene before them was shocking. People were lying on the ground as if in hell. These were the seniors who had been eliminated earlier for not catching the balls. Suddenly, A man with a big beard appeared and welcomed the middle school brats to hell. After changing clothes, the training began with the new middle school students tasked with digging holes, while the high school students were climbing waterfalls. The plot seemed familiar to Major League Baseball. In the afternoon, the coach returned and had everyone bury their team uniforms in the holes they had dug, symbolizing that their prized uniforms were worthless here. The mockery from the seniors almost led to a fight, but Sanada intervened in time. Then, more inhumane training followed, but everyone managed to have fun amidst the hardship. After a day of training, everyone collapsed and started discussing the bearded coach, doubting his credentials. Maino felt bitter thinking about his suffering here while others at the camp were enjoying themselves. His thoughts were interrupted by seniors needing help fetching water. Surprisingly, Ryoma quietly picked up a bucket and walked off, confusing everyone about his good mood today. It was because he didn't want to lose to those people, a realization that fired everyone up. The bearded man watched all this, gaining a new respect for Ryoma. After training, it was time to rest at night, but there was only one dormitory. The middle school students and high school students had to compete for the right to use the dorm through a tennis battle. Logically, facing these high school extras should have been easy. However, the playing field was uneven, making the ball's path unpredictable. The seniors, already trained here, were used to the terrain. Ryoma decided that if the ball's path was unpredictable, he would not let it touch the ground, and used a half volley. Unexpectedly, Oishi had the same idea, and their rackets collided. In the end, it was up to Sanada to hold out alone while Renji and Akutsu, the Data Kings, stayed back gathering data. They finally found a solution and told everyone else to leave the court as they alone were enough. The middle school team started to counterattack, but just as they were about to win, the coach declared the match over. There were 3 people left in the high school division, and only 2 in the middle school division. So the high school division was declared the winner. Clearly, this was biased towards the high school students. Ryoma was not pleased and confronted the coach, but the bearded man ignored him and walked away. Late at night, the bearded man suddenly woke everyone up and randomly selected 3 people for a secret mission, one of whom was Ryoma. They were tasked with stealing items from the training camp: 100 tennis balls, 10 bars of soap, 10 bottles of shampoo, and to take the liquor from the staff lounge. The theft operation commenced. Ryoma and Kabaji easily jumped over the river, but Kenya slipped and fell into the river at the start. However, he used his iron foot technique to run directly on the water. Kabaji tried to save him, but ended up falling in himself, dragging Ryoma along. Unexpectedly, the river carried them right to the entrance of the camp. However, the area was heavily monitored, making entry not easy. Kenya thought it was too dangerous and wanted to back out, but Ryoma refused to give up, so they reluctantly proceeded. They first stole the soap and shampoo from the warehouse, but then turned around to face a Doberman. They nearly died of fright on the spot, but Tezuka noticed it was just a statue. They didn't pay much attention to it, but actually it was a camera shaped like a Doberman, and Coach Seiki had seen everything. Kite, having just finished training, overheard 2 seniors discussing the camp's samurai ghosts and a spell to exorcise them. He dismissed their conversation, thinking they were not very bright. The trio then infiltrated deeper into the base, encountering a floor covered with geometric shapes, likely a trap. Kabaji, thinking the square looked safe, stepped on it and luckily guessed right. They then found the password for the staff lounge, feeling like participants in a real-life escape room. Just as they were about to get the liquor, they encountered a laser grid. Who would install such a thing in a staff lounge? Kenya tried to navigate through it, but his dancing shadow frightened Kite passing by, making him think of the legendary samurai ghost. Ryoma and his team were stuck, but then they heard Kite chanting a spell, which Ryoma took as a clue on how to get through the lasers. They finally entered the lounge, filled with delicious food. Unable to stand being outside the laser grid any longer, Kabaji broke in violently, triggering the alarm throughout the camp. As the trio prepared to flee, they discovered a poison specially made by Akutsu and decided to fill the bearded man's flask with it, testing its strength. It was puzzling why Akutsu's poison was left in the camp. Meanwhile, Court 5 challenged Court 3 to a position shuffle battle. Akutsu led the middle schoolers to challenge Inui, with the match rules being 3 singles and 2 doubles. If they won, All members of Court 5 could move to Court 3. Akuji didn't understand why Akutsu, who had been blocking others from advancing in Court 5, was now kindly leading them to challenge Court 3. Akutsu stated that the arrival of the middle schoolers ignited his passion, a rather forced excuse just for the plot. Ryoma continued to train hard into the night. During a break, Sanada approached him, having heard about Ryoma's recent special assignment. He was eager to try it too, so he decided to take all the middle school students to steal the liquor. "You guys look more like you're going to rob than steal," the coach joked. Now Ryoma's limit is 6 balls per second. The bearded man is finally ready to seriously train these middle school students. He expressed his disdain for the methods used at the training camp and was determined to catch up and defeat those at the camp. The position change match started. Inui was surprised to find that Akutsu wasn't playing today, meaning it wouldn't be an easy win. Tezuka encountered Seigaku's former captain, Yamato, at the venue, the one known as the sunglasses guy. "You've changed so much. Are you sure you're the same person?" he joked. The bearded man brought out a box of weighted rackets for Ryoma and the others to practice with. Just lifting them was a struggle, making everyone question the effectiveness of such training. The first 2 matches of the position change ended in a 1-1 tie. Kabaji was devastated by his defeat, but Kite and Shiita's doubles performance was outstanding, securing a win for their team. The critical third match, the second singles, featured Tezuka facing Yamato in a direct confrontation between the current and former Seigaku captains. They exchanged pleasantries at the start, with Yamato expressing his hope that Tezuka would become a pillar not just for Seigaku, but also for U-17. Before the match, Yamato also approached Ryoma, expressing his hope that he would watch the match between him and Tezuka. He implied it might be Tezuka's last match in Japan, hinting at forcing him into retirement. The captain's battle was about to begin. Tezuka served first, disrupting Yamato's rhythm and then scoring easily with a backhand. Tezuka's improvement was evident. He was vastly different from before and quickly won the first game. Yamato's teammates couldn't stand to watch him being consistently outplayed by his junior, which was quite embarrassing. With no other option, Yamato resorted to a secret technique. Surprisingly, this time Tezuka swung at air, as if he saw an illusion. Yamato called this move Genyume Genjitsu, illusion dream reality, and he used it several times, making the ball seem to pass through Tezuka's racket. Initially, Tezuka couldn't find a counter strategy, and Yamato won a game, tying the score at 1-1. Atobe noted that Tezuka usually anticipates shots based on his opponent's movements, but Yamato changed the ball's trajectory at the moment of impact, rendering Tezuka's predictions useless. This technique seemed to be effective only against skilled players. Yamato took the lead, and then reminded Tezuka that he had always fought for others, but now it was time to fight for himself. Nevertheless, Tezuka continued to prioritize the dignity of all Court 5 members, fighting for their cause. Tezuka activated Tezuka Phantom. Since he couldn't return the balls, he decided to hit all of them out of bounds. While this match heated up, Ryoma was undergoing brutal training, collapsing from exhaustion, yet only getting 30 minutes of rest. The bearded man, understanding Ryoma's desire to watch the duel between Tezuka and Yamato, told him to stop training and go watch. Tezuka Phantom successfully countered Yamato's special technique, but the move was also very damaging to his body. The score reached 4-4. Due to the prolonged use of Tezuka Phantom, Tezuka's arm was injured again, reminding Yamato of their first match, when he too had fought injured and lost 6-0 to Tezuka, who then took on the mantle of Seigaku's pillar. Yamato revealed his own injury scars, stating that he had once aspired to be the team's pillar just like Tezuka but ended up contrary to his wishes. He didn't want Tezuka to end up like him. Additionally, Atobe kept providing verbal support from the sidelines, allowing Tezuka to finally open up and really enjoy the game of tennis. Yamato used his Genyume Genjitsu technique to create illusory balls, but unexpectedly, the Tezuka he was facing was also an illusion. It seems only magic can defeat magic, and Tezuka successfully countered to score. Then, Tezuka activated his 1000 training mode, beginning to dominate the match and rendering Yamato unable to respond. Scenes of past memories flashed before him, reassuring him that he could confidently entrust the team to his teammates. Tezuka shone brilliantly, dazzling everyone with his evolved flawless play and concluding with a perfect drop shot. After the match, Tezuka thanked Captain Yamato for helping him rediscover his passion. He announced his plans to move to Germany to become a professional player. On his way back, Yamato met Ryoma and expressed his hope that Ryoma, as the new pillar of Seigaku, would find his own path. After bidding farewell to Tezuka, Ryoma immediately returned to training. With Tezuka gone, Atobe became the new spiritual leader, quickly starting the next match. This doubles match was also full of highlights, featuring former friends Oishi and Chitose facing off against their former senior from Shishido Middle School. "Looks like it's all about reuniting with family here," someone commented. Chitose used his signature move, Kami Kakushi, while Oishi unleashed Fury Ball Dance. Both moves involved techniques that made the ball seem to disappear or multiply. Inui tried to explain that one technique made the ball suddenly rise, giving the illusion it vanished, while the other involved vibrations that created the appearance of multiple balls. The senior doubles pair knew they couldn't take it lightly and activated their synchronized resonance, a move that had become quite common. Before Tezuka left, Fuji had one request: to have a match with him. Kikumaru was puzzled because, strong as Fuji was, he seemed unlikely to win against Tezuka, who had mastered his Tezuka zone. As expected, Fuji ended up crying during the match. Watching Tezuka walk away, Fuji resolved to surpass him one day. The doubles match concluded with the middle school team narrowly losing 7-6. The final battle was left to Atobe's hands. Atobe's charismatic leadership is undeniable, and by now, all the middle schoolers were his fans. Inui was surprised by the rapid progress of these middle school students, but still felt Atobe could not defeat him. Atobe, always direct and formidable, simply said, "See you on the court." The match began with Inui predicting Atobe's shots and running diagonally across the court. However, Atobe anticipated this prediction and changed his stance last minute to hit a straight shot. Inui was quick to react and managed to return the ball, but Atobe was ready to smash any high ball, preparing to execute his waltz. Inui guessed Atobe was going for a smash, but actually planned a drop shot. Unbeknownst to him, this was an evolved version of the waltz called the Poetic Escape, where the ball skimmed low across the ground. Inui was stunned, and the spectators didn't expect Inui to be completely outplayed by Atobe. Suddenly, the score was 5-0 in Atobe's favor. Just as Atobe was about to win, Inui suddenly laughed, revealing he had been acting all this time, intentionally losing points. Apparently, there really are people in the world who play such games, letting a few games slide only to strike back at match point. Akutsu told everyone that Inui's skills were far superior to others on Court 3. He was placed there to help raise the level of play on other courts. Atobe's skills were entirely neutralized, even countered by Inui, who enjoyed a thrilling comeback, making it look easy to change a 5-6 deficit into a match point. Atobe recalled being bullied by foreign kids during his childhood abroad, a memory fueling his desire to prove himself through victory. Now, he realizes he must take on Tezuka's responsibility and fight for the team. With renewed determination, Atobe developed a new skill, transforming his eyes into X-ray scanners, allowing him to pinpoint his opponent's weak spots through their bones. This explains how he noticed Tezuka's injury at a glance. Despite evening the score, Atobe twisted his ankle upon landing. Inui, aware of Atobe's injury, mercilessly moved him around the court, straining his ankle further. Atobe endured the pain, unable to stop once the match started, pushing the score to 187-187. Tezuka came to mind again as Atobe realized the weight of the burden he'd carried. In a grueling exchange, Inui hit a high lob to the backcourt. Moved by Atobe's spirit and exhausted, Inui eventually conceded the match, resulting in a draw as both players were unable to continue. Akutsu took the court, energized by Inui's exit, and easily won 6-0. The fifth court team claimed victory. Despite Inui's capability, he let the junior high students grow by taking it easy. Back at camp, Ryoma endured intense training, and Sanada, cosplaying as Kabaji, claimed he could handle 10 players alone, only to be blinded in one eye by a ball. Ryoma could now play 7 balls in a breath, Kikumaru 6, still far from the 10 balls per second mentioned by the bearded coach. That night, Sanada discovered Ryoma missing, still practicing overnight. The high school students also sacrificed sleep to practice, aiming to descend the mountain first. The next morning, the bearded coach introduced a new training plan involving catching balls rolled down a steep hillside. Initially, everyone missed, but gradual improvement led them to successfully hit the balls before they fell, symbolizing the junior high team's victory over the high school team. That night, the coach summoned the junior high players for a run through the forest, dodging tennis balls. Sanada received a key. If they completed the course, there was no need to return. After the intensive training, the team's coordination improved, culminating in an 8-ball rally by Ryoma, proving his mastery. The seniors' powerful shots during the night were revealed at dawn, marking everyone's progress. Sanada unlocked a cabin with the key, discovering gifts prepared by the coach, including black uniforms for the U-17 camp Losers Revenge Squad. In the U-17 camp, no challenges from those in black uniforms could be refused. These players, reborn through rigorous training, were known as the Unexpected Return Group. Ryoma declared his intent to dominate Court 2, and Sanada arrogantly stated he wouldn't lose a single game. The senior players, alarmed, initiated a tennis battle, but all their shots were returned and their rackets knocked away. Oishi alone crushed the high schoolers. The losers group dominated as the winners group rushed to witness their newfound strength, greatly reassured. Upon noticing disturbances at his court, Court 2's leader, Uchimura Wataru, challenged Ryoma to a one-on-one match. Uchimura, known for leaving his right side open, claimed it was his divine domain, although it was actually his weak backhand. However, he also mastered the Tezuka zone, absorbing Ryoma's shots. Facing a deadlock, Uchimura presented a challenge with 8 balls, stating Ryoma would win if any ball broke through on the right, leading to an intense 8-ball showdown. Everyone felt the match was unfavorable for Ryoma, who focused solely on breaking through Uchimura's strong right side, while Uchimura showed no concern for fair play. Balls came from all directions, with Uchimura showing no honor by secretly adding an extra ball, making it 9 balls per second. Ryoma struggled to keep up as the score quickly reached 40-15. Uchimura was confident, having heard from Sanada that losing even one game would mean defeat. However, he didn't anticipate the strength of the protagonist's aura. Ryoma evolved on the spot, managing to play 10 balls per second, breaking through Uchimura's defense. Uchimura's divine domain was breached, causing him to lose his composure and concede the match, relinquishing his position on Court 2. Now, the winners group members were discontent, and Atobe from the losers group challenged them, sparking another internal junior high battle. Ryoma sought out Tokugawa for revenge, now able to play 10 balls per second, ready for an equal match. Tokugawa revealed that he too had climbed back from the losers group in the same black uniform preserved by the bearded coach for new challenges. Today's training ended, preserved by the bearded coach for new challenges. Today's training ended,